Also live on TV Ghana on Facebook, DSV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Ocansey. Tonight, as we get into the matters, and 57 years on after the 1966 coup d'etat, that was Ghana's first coup d'etat, we look back and what is happening now, and if there was indeed any justification then. We'll tell you what the proponents think. Also, the National Democratic Congress is attracting a lot of young people and professionals as well. We will tell you the dynamics as things are playing out in the NDC and the young people who have declared their intentions to contest the various constituencies on the ticket of the party. Will spread our tentacles and go to Nigeria, where our man Kamla Kloche will be joining us from Abuja. Will give us details some few hours before election day tomorrow. Stay with us here on your election command center. We have the chair of the Independent Nigerian Election Commission also speaking to my colleague Kamla Kloche. Stay with us. And the spokesperson is also going to be joining us here on Ghana Tonight. We remain your election command center. Let's hear from you. We're very interactive tonight. The hashtag is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and Twitter. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs. The German ambassador to Ghana has raised red flags on Ghana's much-anticipated bailout package with the International Monetary Fund. According to Ambassador Daniel Kroll, the deal may hit a snag unless China, which is the country's biggest bilateral creditor, agrees to offer some debt relief. He further noted that China's lack of cooperation would make it difficult for the Paris Club creditors to offer debt relief to Ghana.
At this point of time, it is really the question on how to convince particular China to come to the table. That is the key question right now. Because all the others, I mean, the Paris Club members have agreed, they are ready, but again, they are not willing to lower the request to Ghana, and with this financing the debts of China. I mean, that must be understandable for everybody.
Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jane Mensah, has been summoned to appear before the members of Parliament on Monday. Speaker of the House, Abam Bagbeng, says she must appear before the House over the proposed constitutional instrument. The newly proposed instrument by the Electoral Commission makes the Ghana card their sole identification document to be used to guarantee citizenship. There's also a requirement in the CI that persons who want to register have to do so at an EC district office. A committee of the whole meeting on Thursday was postponed due to the absence of the Electoral Commission chairperson. Rather, the deputy, Dr. Bosman Asari, represented her, but the minority members in Parliament in particular opposed to the meeting until the Electoral Commission chairperson was present. The city has depreciated against all its major trading partners as uncertainty remains high over when the much-wanted IMF bailout will be secured. The local currency lost 1.96% to the US dollar, 1.97% to the British pound, and 1.87% to the euro. Lead researcher with GCB Capital, Courage Botte, forecasts the city to remain under pressure till the IMF deal is finalized.
It's been a week of depreciation again. We've seen the city move from about 12 CD 95 pesos at the close of last week to about 13 CD 15 pesos today. Actually, that's about 1.52% depreciation versus the USD on the retail market. The market is news sensitive now, and you would see this kind of volatility for a while until we get clarity with board level approval and actual balance of payment support.
Veteran journalist and editor-in-chief of New Crusading Guide, Abdul Malik Kwekobako, has said a section of Ghanaians must stop blaming Dr. Kwame Nkrumah for the country's woes 57 years after he was overthrown.
And his party, they've been gone for 57 years. 57 good years. We are still giving Kwame Nkrumah for the days of today, Ghana today. I really wouldn't accept that, especially when you insist that that's where the emphasis should be. How about the positives that you do? Why don't you aggregate the positives and let the positives drive your vision of today? Because it's not everything that Nkrumah taught then that could be implemented or even is ideal for development today and to change.
At 33 years old, Linda Sibiawuni is on her most ambitious journey yet. The former science student at Abrigale Senior High School and geological engineering graduate from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology wants to take on a sitting member of parliament. Despite that being a Herculean task in itself, it is just the genesis of the hurdles she must surmount. But it will seem social media is giving her the initial social capital she needs to kickstart this quest. Linda Awuni believes she is in this as part of the increasing voices to see women beyond being pretty faces.
The youth, we are the ones who have the energy, bright ideas. And I believe that we do not have to sideline the youth. Young people like myself and my other colleagues out there trying to make it into parliament, the time is now. I think it's also the responsibility of the media to give women the chance to be able to speak and let the people know what they have to offer, so that people do not see us as just a pretty face or a woman going into politics.
But just wanting to be a female who is counted won't be enough for the woman who says she was born into an NDC family and bleeds the black, red, white and green colors.
My father is a strong NDC supporter and member. Between the years of 1998 to 2002, he was elected the assemblyman for Adenta. During his tenure, I had the privilege of going around with him to some of his project sites, interacting with the people. So during that, I just developed the love for politics, and I knew that eventually it's an area that I will fully commit to.
Linda Awuni is a Frafra from Bolgatanga, but was born in Adenta and has lived virtually all her life there. She is well aware of the history of the seat as a revolving door that lets in a new MP every 4 years, a curse that could also be her blessing. That history she hopes to benefit from, and a jinx she hopes to break.
I believe over the years, interacting with the people of the community, there has been some disconnect. Mostly because the people and the people who have represented them haven't been in touch. They do not have that personal connection. They do not understand the constituency better. Being somebody who was born and brought up in Adenta, I believe that I have had full experience. I have been impacted by the community in so many ways that I believe that other people haven't had the opportunity to be impacted that way. So yes, there has been some sort of disconnect where there's not a personal relationship between the people who have been elected to represent them and the people on the ground.
She'll be in one of the toughest parliamentary primaries. She'll have to contest the sitting MP Mohammed Adamu Ramadan and possibly former Gender Minister Nana Oye Bampoado. In Mohammed Adamu Ramadan, she would have the toughest challenge. He's the first MP to win the Adentan constituency parliamentary seat by the biggest margin yet.
Well, so a wonderful piece by my colleague Aisha there. But you know what? This 33-year-old young lady is one of many, many young men and women, young professionals who have joined the race to contest various positions and constituencies in the NDC going into this 2024 general elections. In fact, we've seen a number of doctors, medical practitioners, and other professionals, lawyers as well, who have declared their intentions to contest various constituencies on the ticket of the NDC. Take a look at this. A host of lawyers and doctors Now, Dr. Abubakar Bawa Abdullahi, he's put it out there for the Karaga constituency, medical practitioner. You see here as well, then you have Dr. Madison Adanusa. He's also declared Gomoa Central Constituency 2024. Then you have here as well for the whole Central, Dr. Robert Doe as well in there. Then they've all picked their nomination forms. And then you have this man who is not new to the media, for them, as a matter of fact, Dr. Thomas Winson Anaba. He is declared to contest the Garu constituency. He's the former CEO of the RAGE, or the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. So there you have him in there as well. And then you have this man too, Dr. Yenusong Malog. This, he's declared Kintampo North in there. And then also you have in there the likes of Dr. Senanu Kwesi Jokoto as well, who has also declared his intentions. This time around, we're looking at areas that they have, as you see there, all these medical practitioners and other professionals who are in there. And he's not alone in this. Dr. Winfred Koleteba as well, we saw that he has declared his intentions. And this time he is looking at the, we're looking at the constituency related to the West. Then you have also Dr. Mohammed Sharif Abdul Khalik as Parliament. This is the Nantong constituency. So many of them, many of them. And then take a look at this. You also have, and that's going to be on the screen shortly, you have Dr. Evans Safu Edu as Member of Parliament now, who also has declared his intentions for the Ofuasi Ayrebi constituency. This person is going to have a tough job going against Kojo Ponkroma, who is the Information Minister and current Member of Parliament for the Ofuasi Ayrebi constituency. But this man, Dr. Evans Safwedu, has declared his intentions as well to contest on the ticket of the NDC. But then again, bear in mind, they would have to scale the hurdle of going through the primaries, getting the NDC, that's the delegates, to vote for them and go through the vetting process, and then all things play out. But take a look at this. Apart from him, then you have Dr. Titus Bayo. When he announced that he was contesting, he got a lot of people surprised. Their reaction was that until recently, he tendered in his resignation from the position of the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Titus Bayo. There you have it. When we spoke to him, he said, look, I mean, he's looked at what the NDC has done for the health sector, and he thought that that is what best represents his aspirations as a member of parliament or a parliamentary candidate. Now take a look at this. He's not alone. Apart from all of these, we've counted close to 25 medical practitioners who have declared their intentions to contest on the ticket of the NDC. Now you come to this young man as well. He was a social media sensation months ago. He has some legal education, but mostly known for his real estate business. But when you go to the lawyers, okay, this man, lawyer Mieza Alea, he's there as well. This is going for the Elembele constituency, the Elembele constituency. And this man, he's going to test his mettle against the deputy minority leader, the Honorable Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, who is the current Member of Parliament for the area. Well, he believes that he's going to go through. We'll see how things play out. Apart from this, we've seen about 12 lawyers as well, new entrants into the race. But this other young man who has a legal background, but not a lawyer, right? Got some real estate business and so on. This is Kojo Jones, one other young man as well, Dr. Kojo Jones. He has a very interesting political background, actually. He is the son of the late Justice retired Emmanuel Kofi Mensah Jones. Yes. Now, Kojo Jones's father was an attorney general of Cameroon at that tender age of 28, before he later relocated to Ghana and then he joined the bench as a justice of the Supreme Court. In fact, his father was also once the PNC's vice presidential candidate, but he passed sometime in 2016, I think. But his stepfather also had strong links to the NDC. He's been described as an NDC financier at a point. He will come up against the incumbent, Kwame Gakwe, and a few others. This is in the Keta constituency. Then we have actor and businessman Fred Nyama as well, who is seeking to contest on the ticket of the NDC. This is the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency. Until recently, we all got the point that actor, farmer, politician John Dumelo was set to contest the SAL constituency, the yet-to-be-created SAL constituency. But until recently, we've gotten the indication that he's coming back. John Dumelo contested that Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency on the ticket of the NDC in 2020. And he did appreciably well as a first-timer. The votes that he polled between himself and the incumbent, Lydia Alassane, wonderful performance. And he believes that he has the mettle to indeed wrestle Lydia Mahama for that particular seat. So it's kind of, these two young men I'm talking about, Fred Nyama and John Dumelo, we understand are very good friends. And so we will see how this friendly fight plays out between the two of them. In fact, my producer actually put this picture on to just confirm the fact that these two young men are really, really good friends. So yeah, we'll see how the friendly fire will play out between these two in that Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency. We'll see how things play out in the coming days. But then again, obviously, they have to scale the hurdle of going through the vetting to get the approval. And then they can see how things will play out. But for the female picture as well, you'll see how, apart from the Adenta constituency, we'll see how that female factor, we have Francesca Maupemo Ejay. She's slugging it out with Jocelyn Tete, the incumbent MP for North Dyke constituency as well. There you have it. So we'll see how things play out in that area. Then we have CEO of 3 Music, Baba Sadiq Abdullah Abu, so a young man. We spoke to him some time ago. Take a look. We would bring that back shortly, but this is how the picture looks like when it comes to, and that's Baba Sadiq. That's him. And we would later give you an indication of what he thinks and why he's going into this race. Dr. Smart Sapon is going to be joining us shortly. He is a political scientist. He's been looking through his lenses as to why a lot of young people are being attracted to the NDC now more than ever. Stay with me. We'll be back shortly after this quick break.
Your friend Nadede, Semijina Ha, na Franco television, Papa, I'm with your begasono, and I'm a gusu amidi one dance here. So was the hotels, offices, schools, apartments, Franco television, Ababawa, Abrantie, Open TV, the about them. Your size is big brave, you were 24 inches, you were 32, you were 43, you were 55, and I can see 65 inches. Now den Franco Trading Enterprise television papa and you border from a him.
3FM Gobe Festival.
Gobe Festival.
Gobe Festival.
Gobe.
3FM. Gobe.
Gobe. Gobe. Go 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 go. Gobe. It's Gobe.
Gobe Festival.
His investigative piece on the horrifying state of Ghana's morgues caught the public eye. This time around, he's taking us to the cemeteries.
This is a human skull.
The image of neglect is camouflaged by the scenery.
This you can see right here is a human womb.
Sunken graves.
Oh my, the grave just caved in. Can you imagine?
The abandonment here is glaring. Health experts are troubled.
Somebody is not doing his or her duty. It's not supposed to be like that.
Journey with Godwin Asediba as he reveals a heart-wrenching story on Ghana's creepiest cemeteries. Is the dead truly resting in peace or in pieces?
No Rest in Peace, showing March 1 at 9 p.m. on TV3, TV3 Ghana across social media and 3news.com.
I've witnessed so many deaths, but I don't know why Christian Achutra, some deaths have actually hit me very, very, very hard.
My last conversation with him was the Friday and Saturday prior to his death. And so the next day, that was on Saturday, I did those videos and then the pictures for him.
He was particularly concerned about petty offenders being thrown into jail. Someone goes to steal a fowl, someone goes to steal a crate of egg.
Or you're good, like or you're nimpa, or you're some nimpa, on pen of handsome.
He was a peaceful person. He cared so much for the poor and needy.
Showing this Saturday at 11 a.m. on TV3.
It's about to get more sporty with a touch of super entertainment with your favorite stars.
Times we play the Twitting, the Chaskele, the football.
Who should I take? Tony Cruz?
Cruz.
Why?
While keeping you up to date with every trending issue in your world of sports on Warmer Plus.
But in comes Thomas Tuchel and everything changes. And when he said he wants to be better than me, I was happy.
Let's keep it more sporty and super entertaining.
Warm Up Plus now shows on Saturdays at 11 a.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Betway.
His investigative piece on the horrifying state of Ghana's morgues caught the public eye. This time around, he's taking us to the cemeteries.
This is a human skull.
The image of neglect is camouflaged by the scenery.
This you can see right here is a human womb.
Welcome back. Now, we're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. You've just seen that lineup of just a fraction of the young people who have declared their intention to contest on the ticket of the NDC in the upcoming parliamentary primaries. There are a few hurdles to cross, but Dr. Smart Sapong is a political scientist, and he's been looking into this interesting trend of young people showing interest to contest on the ticket of the NDC. He joins us on Zoom. Dr. Smart Sapong, thank you so much for joining us on Ghana Tonight. Obviously, before now, a lot of young people who had contested on the ticket of the NDC, but the numbers have shot up. What could be working for the NDC now?
Well, Alfred, a very good evening to our cherished viewers. And I think it's refreshing to see that the political party NDC has become very youthful. It used to be more of the aged, but I think down from the opportunities President Mills gave some young men into his government, the youth have taken some special interest, and it appears that year on, any such opportunity that comes, we see more of the youth showing interest and joining, participating at the highest level, like you can see even in this one. When you check the distribution in Parliament, it appears that the NDC members of Parliament, even as at now, are more youthful than the MPP members of Parliament. And I think it is with that motivation that more youth feel they should take the opportunity and participate.
I see. Now, and we see more young professionals, well, and other professionals as well who are coming in. Earlier, I just ran through the list of nurses, doctors, lawyers, all coming into play. I mean, how does this enrich the NDC as a political party?
Yeah, I think it is a lesson to all other political parties. We discussed, I remember, this issue when some group of lawyers, got themselves together to represent the NDC, and they were forming an association some time ago. I think professionals must get themselves involved in these things that we do called politics. Many of the time we see some of these people sitting aside, showing no concern, and those who are interested take decision, and it affects all of us. If our professionals can stand by their professional ethics and will not go favoring their political party affiliates in the delivery of their professional services, then I would find nothing wrong with the trend where we have some professionals. In fact, even before they gave themselves up, we know in our daily encounter with these professionals that it is divided among the MPP and the NDC. A new trend, which I find quite encouraging, is that they are now trying to participate in the process properly, so that we would all not sit and blame the so-called politician who may not have the expertise as professionals and will be allowed to do his politics and take decisions on our behalf. I think it is encouraging, only that we have to caution such professionals not to let their political interest interfere with their professional service delivery.
See, and one other dynamic which is also playing out now is we have the chairman of the party, Johnson Esiedun Nketiah's son, who is also in the race. He's declared his intention to contest the Tano South constituency. And then also Dr. Kwabena Dufour's son as well. His father is contesting or seeking to contest flag bearership. His son, Dufour Jr., is also, we understand, he's declared his intentions to contest the Setre Afram Plains constituency as well. I mean, these are two stalwarts of the party, the chairman of the party and the flag bearer hopeful. I mean, how should, especially in the case of Johnson Esiedun Nketiah, to conduct himself in a way that will send the clearest signal that as chair, he is not in any way helping his son or creating any fertile ground for him?
Yeah, this is a very tricky one. If I was General Chairman Esiedun Nketiah, it would be very difficult for me to stand in a position different from where my son will stand. I would have not been able in any way pretend not to be in support of my son. And practically, Alfred, I don't see anything much wrong with the father supporting with resources and being the chairman that he is and standing neutral in public. As for resources and backstage conversation in support of your son, I think it is only natural that every father will do that. But I mean, as experienced as he is, and I'm sure he's taking advice from this discussion we are having, he should try and at least in the face of the cameras, be neutral and stand neutral till the process is over. But I mean, it's a very difficult thing to do as a father, to see your son doing this, and you may want to pretend to be neutral. But I mean, he can do it at his level. But they should learn some lessons from what happened in the MPP before the 2020 elections, in this process where MPs were being selected. It was alleged, and in some instances, it was clearly seen that some big hands at the party headquarters or elsewhere in power were imposing or trying to, by their twist of support, trying to impose some candidates onto some constituencies. Yes, you may use your powerful hands to impose such persons onto the constituencies, but if care is not taken, the people at the base may reject him, and you may end up not pulling up the wins, the number of seats you were expecting to win. So we are talking about these two cases, that of Dr. Kwabena Dufour's son, and then that of General Sedu Nketiah's son. Let's see and cautiously advise the NDC not to try and use the powerful hands up there to impose people. I'm not saying this one is of that like, but I mean, we are using this as a case study to caution that they should learn from what the MPP suffered the last time, and not to, by their act or silent support, impose people onto the various constituencies.
Sapong, I thank you so much for this, and I really appreciate it, and I see how things will play out and your diagnosis of the situation as we speak. Dr. Sapong is a political scientist and also joining us on Zoom. He's a lecturer at the Kumasi Technical University. And the coming days is going to be really interesting seeing how things will play out in the NDC. But today, exactly 57 years ago, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown. In fact, this was Ghana's first coup d'etat 57 years ago. It's a day that will forever go down in memory and history as many have described it, a day of shame, a bad day. But this day, for many, 57 years on, believe that lessons have not been learned and what the way forward should be. First President, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, was not in the country while this took place. While he was in Vietnam executing an assignment on behalf of the country, members of the then National Liberation Council launched this overthrow of the ruling government. Kwame Nkrumah was at the time in Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, on a peacemaking trip over the Vietnam War, leaving a 3-person presidential commission in charge of the country. The coup, codenamed Operation Cold Chop, was led by, as we do know, General Emmanuel Kotoka. The CPP describes this day as a day of shame. But I want you to take a listen to Abdul Malik Wekubakun, also talking about today, and a few others who share their thoughts. Take a look.
He wasn't perfect. See, the point, my brother made a point about Nkrumah sowed the seeds of perhaps the lack of progress that we find ourselves in his opinion. For me, I was surprised at that. How many years gone? 57 years. Nkrumah has been away. 57. That's a sad commentary of the Ghanaian ability, capability, and vision. How? The man and his party, they've been gone for 57 years. 57 good years. We are still giving Kwame Nkrumah for the hills of today, Ghana today. I really wouldn't accept that, especially when you insist that that's where the emphasis should be. How about the positives that you do? Why don't you aggregate the positives and let the positives drive your vision of today? Because it's not everything that Nkrumah thought of then that could be implemented or even is ideal for development today. Times change. We have to agree. Yes, let me be honest with you that with the benefit of hindsight, I've done some of these debates for more than 20 years. You'll be surprised that I engaged my own father on some of those debates, just to be able to get clarity, and especially Guru Professor Dubois. See, for instance, the one-party state we discussed. Why is he justified? He uses that to justify the coup. I don't, because I think there were alternative routes. That's why I compared to Tanzania and Zambia, where one-party states of some 80 years humbled without a soldier taking a gun to patrol the constitution of that period. But obviously, the benefit of hindsight, I'm not sure it was right that went for one-party states. I don't believe so.
Kwekubako there. Now, talk about 57 years on, what have we learned? And 57 years ago, before this overthrow, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah believed strongly in the capacity and the capability of the Ghanaian, and which is not in doubt, at least. But has leadership shown that we are indeed capable of managing our own affairs, as Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said in this independence speech? Take a look.
There is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that, after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
That was his belief, the confidence that he had, that joy of independence, at least well, political independence at the time. That speech, that we are capable of managing our own affairs, was to communicate the economic independence that he was hoping that we would have. We are the IMF. So I asked Professor PLO Lumumba whether this is a clear indication that, well, Nkrumah believed, but so far we haven't shown, or leadership for that matter, hasn't shown that we are capable of managing our own affairs. We mess up again, we keep going back to them. We are there for the 18th time for 3 billion support and policy credibility. I mean, what must change? What are the critical issues that must change for us as a people to indeed show that we are capable of managing our own affairs?
You know, sometimes I sit alone and I ask myself, when they sit out there at the IMF and the World Bank or the European Union, when Africans are not there, what do they say? They must be saying, we told you. They are incapable of running their affairs. We told you. They cannot run their economies. We told you. They do not have the intellectual capacity to do the right thing. So they call us in, and we call them in. And we think they mean well for us. They don't. They are in business. And their business is to ensure that we continue to misgovern ourselves.
So that's Professor PLO Lumumba. Evidence, what leadership has done. It's clear evidence that we are not capable of managing our own affairs. And that's sad. I'm sure that just like Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah will be sad in his grave, there are many, many people who are feeling the same way, who are alive and watching us tonight. Well, guess what? Even with the IMF engagement that we're having, according to the German ambassador to Ghana, Daniel Kroll, he is saying that we may face challenges with getting China to either sit with us to renegotiate and restructure the debts that we owe them if there are not major interventions. In fact, he's been saying the things that you and I have been talking about, asking government to cut down the size and reduce expenditure, because we cannot go out there begging when we have huge government size and spending so much on wasteful expenditure. Take a look.
Encourage all Ghanaians who have strong ties with China, who are doing nice business with China, to also engage them and convince them that it's time to sit down with all the other creditors and agree on a package. Time is of the essence. Time is running out. Without this agreement with the bilateral creditors, the IMF package is in severe danger. Mm-hmm. Well, I think the government has taken the right steps, has reached out very actively. I don't see anything that anybody else could have done better. It is really at this point of time, it is really the question on how to convince particular China to come to the table. That is the key question right now. Because all the others, I mean, the Paris Club members have agreed; they are ready. But again, they are not willing to lower their request to Ghana, and with this financing the debts of China. I mean, that must be understandable for everybody. So we are ready to negotiate, but only if all the other creditors are willing, are taking up their responsibility in the same way.
Issues are quite clear, is it not? Let's go on to Zoom now. Courage Bote is a currency analyst. Courage, thank you so much for joining us on Ghana Tonight. First of all, hearing the German ambassador talk, it clearly indicates how the coming days and our engagements with China would look like, is it not?
Yes, I think China is actually the main elephant in the room now that needs dealing with. They are the reason Zambia's debt restructuring conversation has stalled or dragged for this long without any breakthrough. I think the general indication is that the Paris Club members stand ready to support Ghana, and many of the other bilateral creditors stand ready to support Ghana. And we've heard the German ambassador actually outlining a number of things they expect Ghana to do. And if they are convinced by those, they stand ready to support. And they are logical demands, really. You have to raise revenue. You have to manage your fiscals. You have to do the other prudent stuff to get the support you need, including debt cancellation and all of that. But for China, it is complicated because they hold, just about 30% of our total bilateral debt. And then they are the ones not too willing to have the conversation of debt cancellation, which we are seeking. I think the inclination, as it appears now, is they are more open to some debt restructuring of sort that might include tenor extension, but not debt cancellation. And so I believe that is why government want to have a one-on-one negotiation with them to try to strike a deal. It might involve making some concessions. It might involve making some promises here and there that might not be exactly what we would wish for. Mm-hmm. But I think to the extent that they do not distort our economic plan, it's worth considering. So that if you get that treatment with China, if China plays ball with you, then you have a higher chance of making success with their bilateral creditors, and then you can extend those terms to your commercial creditors also, and we would have been making progress with debt restructuring. So China is worth listening to because they are a big player in that space, and we must try to make as much concessions as possible so long as they make sense and do not distort our economic plan.
Courage, thank you so much for this quick input. Courage Bote is a currency analyst and economist as well. Appreciate your time on Ghana Tonight. Let's go to Nigeria, shall we? Because tomorrow is election day. And my colleague Komla Kloche is there for us on the ground in Abuja. He's been to Lagos, traveling to a few other safe states. monitoring the situation ahead of tomorrow here on your election command center. He's been interacting with some of the first-time voters and others who have been voting over the period as to what would influence their decision to vote for whichever candidate they decide. Take a look.
Tomorrow is election. What are you expecting?
For tomorrow, na Atiku will win because of people they suffer. This Buhari government, do well for people. No money, no cash. Transfer, they go. Problem there too much. Now only Atiku, you go enter president, inshallah.
Modalities put in place by the government of the day to ensure that the election is credible. Looking at the deployment of security personnel to various places, and a lot of other policies we see that are supposedly targeted at ensuring that the election is free and fair. Because I think we've come of age, and then we should be a people that are objective in the sense that we should be driven by things that matter. Not ethnicity, not where you came from, not your religion, not what you have to offer us in terms of direct benefits. We should be a people that are driven by the credibility of the candidates.
Are you going to vote tomorrow?
No, I'm not going to vote tomorrow.
Why?
Because of stubbornness. I the supper with the supper. I'm not going to vote again. Not anybody more. I want. Because of my say no, when I talk, say man don't talk challenge. I'm not going to challenge anybody. I'm not going to vote again. Not anybody. Not anybody. No, I'm not going to vote Atiku. I'm not going to vote Buhari. I'm not going to vote Buhari. I'm not going to vote who do they call myself? Who in this in Yamari? Nobody I want vote because of stubbornness. Too much. Stubbornness too much. Serious. No work. Chama. No help a man go do. Anything cash. Anything is POS. With the supper. See our people. See our people now. We don't do all those. With the supper.
That's that sense of disappointment, you would say the least, is what this young man is expressing there. He says he represents the views of many people. But chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission of Nigeria, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has assured the commission's readiness to deliver a credible, free and fair election tomorrow. He spoke exclusively to my colleague Komla Kluche in Abuja.
Komla from TV3, we've done this before the last time. Yes.
I remember in 2019.
Absolutely.
You are the one who led me somewhere.
That was a brilliant interview. I'm very well, thank you. A firm assurance from you. You have just a few hours for the elections. What's the firm assurance you're giving to the good people of Nigeria and also Africa as a whole? You are the big brother. Every attention is on you now.
Well, election is a multi-stakeholder activity. But as far as our preparations are concerned, we are fully ready for the election tomorrow. Nigeria is huge, and the challenge of organizing elections in Nigeria is equally enormous. Let me give you an idea. With 93 million registered voters, we have 16.7 million more voters in Nigeria than the other 14 countries in our sub-region, West Africa, put together. So each time Nigerians go to the polls, it's like the whole of West Africa and beyond holding elections. But we are fully prepared for the elections. Movement of personnel and materials to various locations has been done. And so we are good to go. As far as INEC is concerned, we are ready for tomorrow.
Are you worried about voter apathy, the issue of Naira? You responded to me there a short while ago that you have had at least what you require from the central bank for you to do the cash transactions. But then there are many people out there on the street who say they are unable to have money, especially cash, to travel out to go vote. Are you afraid, or do you have concerns regarding voter apathy because people may not be able to have money to go and vote?
Two things. The first one is the level of collection of the voters' cards is simply unprecedented. Over 93% of the voters' cards have already been collected, meaning that there is enthusiasm on the part of Nigerians to vote. There is also an equal determination on the part of the Commission to ensure that the votes count. Secondly, the polling units are not far removed from the places of domicile of citizens. So they may not require, in most cases, a means of transportation to get to the polling units. But as you probably know, in Nigeria, during elections, there is restriction of movement anyway. So in terms of low voter turnout, I don't see the prospect of the current situation affecting voter turnout, because in any case, as I said, the polling units are not far removed from people's places of domicile. So in most cases, they're actually within walking distance.
Finally, from me, security concerns, especially also the safety of your men on the ground. The IG has been speaking over 400,000 security men would be on the ground to ensure a successful election. Are you satisfied enough with the assurance the head of the Nigerian police force has given you regarding safety of your men on the ground?
Well, we are, but ultimately, you know, it is in the hands of citizens. And the enthusiasm we see on the part of citizens means that they will also do a little bit of citizens' mandate protection. Yes, we are encouraged by the assurances we receive from the security agencies. And one way to confirm the assurances we received is that there hasn't been a single incident since we started moving the sensitive and non-sensitive materials for the election. What I see and what I feel is Nigerians eager to vote, and our commitment on the part of the Electoral Commission to ensure that their votes count. Thank you very much.
Professor Mahmoud Yakubu is the chairman of INEC. We'll do this again when counting is done, but then the assurance from him is that, well, they are quite ready. They are very ready to ensure that the elections are held free and fair, and that there is sanctity of the process, and also Nigerians can have results in real time as they have always desired. It's the most watched on the African continent because Nigeria is a big brother. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, the National Coalition Center, Abuja, Nigeria.
So stay with us here on your Election Command Center. Tomorrow, election day, this is the place to be. We have the people, it's safe to say we have the men on the ground to bring you everything you need to know. So stay with us, as you've heard from Komla Kluche there in Abuja. But let's look at the picture of the total eligible voters registered by INEC. This is it. That's what's going to be on your screen right now. We have a total of 93 million registered voters by the Independent Nigerian Electoral Commission. Female, 44.41 million, representing 47.52%. Males, 49, just a little over 49 million, representing 52.48%. Then we do the breakdown on the age groupings. The youth, the first-time voters, we're seeing a huge first-time voter population. And in fact, that's the same with Ghana as well. When we checked the 2020 election breakdown, we had a substantial number of first-time voters. The youth 18 to 34 years, 37 million. That's about 39.65%. And middle age, 35 to 49 years, we're talking about 33 million. That's about 35.75%. The elderly, 50 to 69, that's about 17 million, 18.9694%. And then the 70 years and above, we're talking about 5 million. That's 5.66%. And as we indicated earlier, that's the total. That's 93 million. Presidential candidates, 18 of them, but as we do know, 4 of them are in the front run to actually catch the eye of the voters from what we have monitored. I'm going to run through the 4 that the Nigerians themselves have given or told us that they are going to be they are favorites, looking out for them. And these are the 4, so you have a clear idea of how things are going to play out. Yes, they are 18, but Atiku Abubakar is there, 76 years old, PDP candidate, elected governor of the Adamawa State. This is Adamawa State, 1999, vice president of Nigeria, 1999 to 2007. His policy focus going into election tomorrow: reunite Nigeria, tackle insecurity. It's big on the agenda of all of them, and then job creation as well. Bola Tinubu, 70 years, All Progressive Congress, APC candidate. In fact, he is one person who has generated a lot of conversation in Nigeria. Senator 1992 to 1993, Governor of Lagos 1999 to 2007, policy focus, job creation as well, industrial revolution, tackling insecurity. Then you have as well Peter Obi, 61 years old, comes in as the youngest amongst the front runners. Youngest ever chairman of a Nigerian bank, governor of the Anambra State, 2006, 2007, 2007 to 2010, 2010 to 2014. Policy focus is going to appoint a special prosecutor for corruption. Yeah, taking lessons from Ghana. Well, shift from consumption to production economy. You have it in there. Also, Rabiu Kwankwaso, 66 years old, New Nigerian People's Party, Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, 1992 to 1993, Governor of Kano, 1999 to 2003, 2011 to 2015. His policy focus, education and infrastructure as well. So that's how the picture really looks like. And amongst the 4, at least you have an idea of the 4 out of the 18 that the Nigerian people, and in fact the surveys and polls that have been conducted ahead of tomorrow, put these 4 persons as the front runners for the election tomorrow. And so stay with us here on your Election Command Center. We'll continue a lot more of the analysis and the coverage tomorrow. My colleague Komla Kuchi and the team in Nigeria will bringing us up to speed with all the developments as we've seen before, during and after Election Day in Nigeria. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. On behalf of the rest of the team, we appreciate your company. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a great weekend.